Fugitives on the run. Disguised as Jedi killer Reiko Hardine, Obi-Wan Kenobi works undercover to solve a separatist plot against Chancellor Palpatine. Obi-Wan meets the plot's mastermind, Moralo Eval, breaking him out of jail to gain his trust. But now Kenobi faces another obstacle, bounty hunter Cad Bane. Can Obi-Wan Kenobi overcome Bane's suspicions? Or will the ruthless criminal see through his disguise and expose the Jedi? Only time will tell.
Bucketheads, Mavar Tigar. Welcome to the 148th spaceship crashing episode of Mandovision. Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. Remember to find us on social media. We are at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. You can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the other Mandalorians in your covert. How is everyone doing? Welcome back to another Star Wars: The Clone Wars rewatch episode of the podcast. We are on a mission to finish season 4 of this outstanding season of shows. It's not like we're rushing to get through this because I can't wait to be done with it. No. We're having a blast. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we are having a blast rewatching season 4. It's been, we've said it before. Every season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars gets better than the previous one. And so, yeah, right now we're sort of at the pinnacle of Star Wars: The Clone Wars for what we know about, right? We don't know about season 5 yet. We don't know about what's coming up in season 6 and what's coming up in the final season. In theory, we don't. But at this point, we're seeing some really, really great Star Wars television. And, it's definitely transporting me back in time to what year are we in? 2012, I think, is when these episodes were first airing, and it's it's kind of a blast. It's kind of a trip to go back that way and sort of recall my initial thoughts on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And again, we're nearing that period where Disney's gonna be making their acquisition of Star Wars and Lucasfilm, and that's gonna change the equation quite a bit for this show going forward. We get one more season of full season of the show, which was already in production. Disney couldn't stop it even if they tried, but they do bring the hammer down for season 6. So, we're kind of getting into that point now where this isn't George Lucas's baby anymore, and that's an interesting thing to consider. That's an interesting thing to kind of go back in time to when that happened. And, I know there's a lot of Star Wars fans who don't like Star Wars in the hands of Disney. Many people are, because there's been more Star Wars. There's been a growth of the franchise. Obviously, Galaxy's Edge is a huge attraction for Star Wars fans. So there's definitely been pros and cons the entire time of Disney's stewardship of Star Wars. But yeah, it's just one of those things that now I think about when I read the episode dates. I'm like, oh wow, 2012. I think that was the year, or at least we're darn close to when Star Wars kind of gets. I don't want to say like a new life, but it sort of gets like an injection of adrenaline, right? Disney makes the acquisition, and they announce 3 new films like right off the bat, like, oh yeah, no, we're doing Star Wars, bro. It's happening. Buckle up. And for better or for worse, right? I guess it depends how you look at it. I've mentioned before how I'm not like the world's biggest fan of the sequel trilogy. But again, it's Star Wars, and having Star Wars is better than not having Star Wars. And that's more important to me than anything else. It's keeping Star Wars in the hearts and minds of everyone, right? But there are elements to Disney's stewardship of Star Wars that I've really, really loved. Obviously, The Mandalorian being a big one. And then, Rogue One's one of my favorite movies. Solo is one of my favorite movies. So, it's very much a mixed bag. But that's all a whole other can of worms. I'm kind of reminiscing and getting all weepy nostalgic about stuff. But that's not the point of what we're doing here. This is Star Wars The Clone Wars rewatch episodes. We are in season 4. This is episode 16, Friends and Enemies. The original air date was January 27th, 2012. Our plot for this week: disguised as bounty hunter Reiko Hardine, Obi-Wan Kenobi is on the run with criminal mastermind Moralo Eval and Cad Bane. But their partnership is on thin ice, and Anakin and Ahsoka are in hot pursuit. The episode is directed by Bosco NG, and it is written once again by Brent Friedman. Our principal cast this week, not too many changes from last week. It is James Arnold Taylor as Rako Hardine. Corey Burton is Cad Bane and Count Dooku. Stephen Stanton is Moralo Eval. Matt Lanter is Anakin Skywalker. Ian Abercrombie is Chancellor Palpatine. Ashley Eckstein is Ahsoka Tano. D. Bradley Baker is Captain Rex and the Nikto Guard. Terrence T.C. Carson is Mace Windu. Nika Futterman is the female Twi'lek. She's been doing a lot of Twi'lek stuff over the course of this show. And she's also Sai Snoodles, who we see get carried out of the saloon on Nal Hutta. Kevin Michael Richardson is the Hutt henchman. Tom Kane, once again, is our narrator. And Yoda. Jedi Fortune Cookie this week, a very familiar proverb that I think we all have heard at some point in our life. At the very least, right? It's keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. I think we all know what that means. We all get the gist of that. In this case, it's we're talking about Obi-Wan in disguise, and he has to keep his enemies closer because he's also disguised as an enemy of his enemies and his enemies. Anyways, you know what I mean. This episode's got some really interesting complications, mostly brought about by Chancellor Palpatine, who sort of gives the inside scoop to Anakin about Hardine's location and sort of sets him on a path for, I guess revenge is the good word, right? That's the word we want to use associating with Anakin. He's out to recapture Rako Hardine, still believing that he killed Obi-Wan Kenobi, not realizing that Obi-Wan Kenobi has assumed Rako Hardine's identity in order to infiltrate Moralo Eval's sinister plot against Chancellor Palpatine. But again, this is what we've talked about before with Palpatine. Palpatine's playing all the angles. Palpatine knows all these things. You think he doesn't know about what Moralo Eval's up to? And I'm hoping we'll get to explore a little bit more of that in the next installments of this arc that we're doing here. But yeah, I mean, you think about this, but Anakin's my friend. I'm just going to tell him this stuff on the down low. It's like, it's all going to work out great. No. He's like, again, the dude's playing 3D chess, and we're all playing checkers, all right? Palpatine's like 18 moves ahead of us, and he's trying to provoke Anakin into a situation that will be bad for Anakin, especially once he realizes that if he kills Rako Hardine, he has killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. Think about that. Think about that, how messed up that is. But that's something that I think we're going to get into a little bit more in the next episodes down the road. I think that's going to be something we want to keep in our brains, but kind of like let it blossom into like the flowery idea that it is as we explore this arc. All right, enough of that. We are going to spend some time on Nal Hutta, a planet that we haven't been to in a little while. But it's always nice to kind of see I think it's always kind of fun to see the home world of the Hutts and sort of like the sort of people that populate the planet here. I thought it would have been cooler to do like Nar Shaddaa or something like that, like bring the Smuggler's Moon into play in this episode. But I guess crashing on Nal Hutta is a thing, and why not? Like, everyone there's kind of wanted, so they're not going to rat anybody out. Cad Bane and Moralo and Rako can move amongst the people there. There's not a lot of rules and regulations. Though what rules and regulations they are, Cad Bane quickly breaks and gets them into a decent amount of trouble with the Hutts, who do maintain some order on the planet. their order, but still some order. You can't just walk around putting toothpicks into Rodian's necks. You just can't do it. It's not acceptable. And the Hutts, I'm assuming that Rodian shop owner is probably paying for Hutt protection to set up shop there. And Cad Bane should have known better. But we'll talk about that when we get to that scene. But yeah, so that's where we spend the most of this episode. The episode sort of opens, and we talked last week about how last week's episode was sort of like a Star Wars version of Face Off. And this episode opens up sort of like The Fugitive in a sense, with like a massive spaceship crash, kind of reminiscent of the train crash in The Fugitive that freed Dr. Richard Kimball, a.k.a. Han Solo, a.k.a. Harrison Ford, a.k.a. Indiana Jones, a.k.a., pick your favorite character. And so I was trying to find more comparisons and things like that, but this is not like The Fugitive in that sense. This is not like there's no Tommy Lee Jones tracking everybody down in the in-house, the outhouse, the doghouse, all that stuff. No. But there is a sort of a one-upsmanship amongst the bad guys in this. Sort of like the no honor among thieves kind of mentality here. As Cad Bane's trying to get up on Rako, and Rako trying to get back up over Cad Bane so he can stay part of the gang. And Cad Bane is trying very, very hard to get rid of him. And of course, in hot pursuit now because of Chancellor Palpatine is Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano. And that leads to a very interesting confrontation in the closing moments of the episode. But we will get there, and we might as well get it started right now. Let's go ahead and do it. You know what time it is. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
You're coming in too fast, Hardine. Are you trying to kill us?
They'll be waiting for us at every spaceport. We have to ditch the ship.
You mean you're going to intentionally crash us into the swamp?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm gonna do.
He's right. We have no choice.
Get ready for a fast exit.
So, we normally play a little bumper clip in between to kind of get into the context of the show. But there's a little bit here I want to talk about. I want to share with you all from the crash as the ship's broken apart. And again, it's a great sequence. It's a really fun to watch Obi-Wan crash this ship into the swamps of Nal Hutta, and kind of seeing the carnage of them making their way out of it. But I like this bit here as Rako and Moralo. I think I'm saying it wrong. It's Rako. Evo Moralo, Eval, and Cad Bane are kind of climbing their way out of the ship and kind of head into the swamp. I like this bit of conversation here, particularly from what... I'll just play it. Let's check it out.
Nobody can trace us here. The swamp will swallow up the ship.
So we leave no trace of our crash. Moralo Eval likes a man who plans ahead.
And Tom likes an evil villain who talks in the third person. That just made me laugh so much. If you want to hear some fun with the third person, get on YouTube and find some interviews with Ricky Henderson. Because Ricky loves him some Ricky. And that's all you need to know about that. So good. If you love people talking in the third person, you will have a absolute field day watching interviews with Ricky Henderson. So much fun. But let's go ahead and get into the next main discussion point here as our cadre of villains make their way into Nal Hutta, because now they have to secure a new ship. And Nal Hutta is only the first stop on their way to ultimately kidnapping Chancellor Palpatine. And actually, our first talking point is the next part of this actual conversation as they're coming down off the ship, because this is where the one-upsmanship sort of starts between Cad Bane and Rako Hardine. So check this out as Rako's attempting to sort of assert a little bit of authority in this dynamic, and Cad Bane is having none of it.
You do have a plan?
Yeah, I know Nal Hutta. We can get a new ship at the Bilbausa Bazaar, but this time we buy one. Otherwise, we'll have the authorities back on our tail.
Not so fast. We need to ditch these prison fatigues. We'll have a bounty on our heads for escaping. And I don't like to stand out.
So we are ditching the prison fatigues as Cad Bane sort of asserts his sort of domineering presence over the group, making sure that Hardine knows who's really calling the shots here. And they make their way to the bazaar, and they go to Pablo's pawn shop, where they're going to find new gear, new togs to wear, Racco's getting himself like the prototype of the Boba Fett helmet from the old Ralph McQuarrie designs, which is a pretty cool look to see come back into to come into the show, to be used in this fashion on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I also take note when looking for a new hat, the first hat in Cad Bane's hands, that would be Indiana Jones's trademark fedora. So that was kind of a fun little Easter egg there for us Indiana Jones fans to see Cad Bane. He doesn't actually put it on; he just kind of looks at it. Can't have someone else put on Indy's hat. That's kind of like the rule. So Cad Bane looks at it, puts it down, finds one more to his liking. With a little bit more Lee Van Cleef than Harrison Ford. So that works out for him pretty nicely. And you get Cad Bane looking more like Cad Bane, which, again, our first impression of Duro's back from Episode 4 in A New Hope when we see him in the cantina on Mos Eisley. We know that look of the Duro. But for some reason, when Cad Bane doesn't have his hat on, he does not look right to me. It just really throws me off when I see Cad without the hat. So getting him back in the hat was, at least for me as a Cad Bane enthusiast, was pretty exciting. But this next sequence here is when the proprietor of the pawn shop, Pablo, makes his way over to Cad Bane to offer some more assistance. And this is when Cad goes a little bit too far, which, again, you'd think he'd know better. Again, you're on Nal Hutta, but, there are some rules and regulations you have to follow. The Hutts are in control. And if Pablo, I assume, is paying protection to the Hutts, you're going to bring some attention to yourself that you don't want. So that's a very interesting thing right there. Let's go ahead and check out the scene.
Is there anything else you desire, huh? A new ship?
Your choice of weapons is lousy, Pablo. Where can I get some quality blasters?
I wouldn't be too picky being on the run like you obviously are.
I'd keep my mouth shut if I were you, Pablo. We'll get our weapons elsewhere. Thanks for the hat.
For your trouble.
So that was Obi-Wan attempting to smooth things over, but no. That's not what Pablo's paying production for. So that is going to bring some attention to him that they don't need, especially as they're trying to lay low. But Pablo obviously knows they're on the run. So he might be tempted now at this point to even try to figure out if he's going to go after the bounty himself. No, he's not that crazy. Pablo's not that crazy. Again, Cad Bane did just have a toothpick to his neck in a very menacing fashion. So, yeah. But that move is going to get them into some trouble down the road here. All right, so after coming out of Pablo's, Racco and Cad Bane get into it once again. Cad Bane asserted himself as the authority figure in this dynamic. Decides that it's up to Hardine to get a new ship. He crashed the one. He's got to go get the next one, while Moralo and himself go and get the weapons, go get the guns. And it is not exactly what Obi-Wan Kenobi had in mind. He wanted to be more paired up with Moralo Eval, get the guns, get a chance to get closer to Eval, and maybe get some more insight into what the plot is against Chancellor Palpatine. But Cad Bane shuts that down really, really quickly. And then as they are breaking up, because, again, with 3 fugitives, they're looking for them in groups of 3, they're going to split up. So while Hardine's getting the ship, Bane and Eval are getting the guns. This is also when Cad Bane shares the next part of the plan that he did not want to share with Hardine.
Soon as we have a ship, we ditch Hardine.
Really?
We'll throw him to the Hutts. While they interrogate him, we'll be long gone.
Tell me, is this business or personal?
Both.
All right, so there you go. One of the other things too that was set up in the prior conversation, the back and forth between Hardine and Cad Bane was the notion that Pablo could be calling the Hutts, seeing what the bounty is on them. We see some Gomorian Guards. I wanted to point out the Gomorian Guards because this is like the classic Return of the Jedi Gomorian Guard that we are familiar with. This sort of rotund Gomorian Guard, not like those kind of like beefy ones that were in Book of Boba Fett. No. These are the round, portly, Gomorian Guards of classic lore in Star Wars. So I thought it was fun to kind of see them, and you can hear them in the background with the kind of squeaky piggy noises. But I just sort of liked seeing that. It made me very, very happy to see the classic Gomorian Guard, not these beefcake guys. They got all painted green and stuff and falling off of cliffs in Mos Espa. All right, let's go ahead and check back in with our crew. I think we're gonna shift a course on here. I could be mistaken about that though. I was mistaken. So this is Hardine buying the ship from Abith, and the betrayal is about to happen. So let's go ahead and check that out as Hardine's finding out that he's gonna be left behind here.
Good timing. As soon as you pay for the ship, we can get moving.
With pleasure.
Hey, where's my weapon?
Won't need it. You're not coming.
Says who?
He doesn't want to split his fee for breaking me out of prison. And also, he despises you.
All I know is I'm not going anywhere without my reward.
I'm sorry, this is between you two.
What's it gonna be, Bane?
Here's your reward. I'm not killing you.
All right, so that was Cad Bane gassing and then kicking Hardine down the ramp, leaving him there for the Gomorian Guards. Again, and the Twi'lek you heard talking was the, I don't know, wife or partner of Pablo, the pawn shop owner, and they had filed a report, right? You know, you got maybe not a report might be too official, but they made a complaint to the Hutt that they are probably paying protection to. And so they went looking for the people who caused harm to Pablo, who still seems shaken by his encounter with Cad Bane. That toothpick did some serious damage at least it looks like it. Maybe it's just emotional trauma, and Pablo's getting ready for an emotional damage lawsuit against Cad Bane. I'm not entirely sure, but Racco Hardine, aka Obi-Wan Kenobi, is going to be taken in by the Hutt authorities for questioning. So yeah, Cad Bane delivers what he promises, and it's no good for Hardine / Kenobi. So now in the custody of the Hutts, Hardine, hanging upside down by his ankles, being interrogated by a Nikto guard, has no problem offering up how to track down Cad and Hardine, because again, he can't let he can't let Morale Eval get away. That would be bad for the plan. So no problem selling them out. He had previously placed a tracking device on the ship. We see that in the sequence when he's buying the ship from the Bith. And and again, it is sort of funny though, because you think about it again, for Obi-Wan's purposes, like, yes, this makes total sense. Send the Hutt forces out there to stop Bane and Eval from getting away. But at the same time, it also works in the sense of like if Hardine were a criminal, if this were actually Hardine himself, he'd probably do the same thing, because again, no honor amongst thieves is sort of like the theme of this episode. Really, it's one-upping, making sure that everyone's going to get their piece of the action. Again, Obi-Wan has ulterior motives because he's trying to get involved in this plot against Palpatine, but it sort of seems on brand, I suppose, for this criminal element to sort of just kind of come after each other. Again, no honor among thieves. That's really what this sort of scene reminds me of, as they kind of keep trying to get back at each other. It's just funny, and we'll see it the rest of the episode too, because Bane's gonna have to deal with this guy again.
You call this hospitable? Wait, torture won't be necessary. My partners double-crossed me, but I put a tracking device on their ship. Let me down, and I'll tell you the frequency.
Now, tell us the tracking frequency.
Let's check back in with Eval and Cad Bane as they are attempting to make their way up Nal Hutta. Eval is making contact with Count Dooku, and let's go ahead and play that clip right there, because it's very telling. Again, our first kind of documented contact between the two characters here.
Yes, Count Dooku. I'm sorry I was delayed. I'm free now. I'll try to reach Sereno as soon as possible.
No more excuses, Eval. Time is running short.
Yes, Count Dooku. No more excuses.
All right, so what's going to happen next is the Hutts, now in possession of the tracking data, the tracking frequency for the ship that Hardine / Kenobi put on the ship. They're going to launch their forces, and they're going to bring the ship back down to the planet, which is going to put Hardine and Cad Bane once again coming back to the town, back to the bazaar, where Hardine will be waiting for them after he makes his escape from Hutt custody as well, which is a pretty good sequence too, by the way. So yeah, neat little moments. And again, the sort of one-upsmanship, the gamesmanship going on between Bane and Hardine is very interesting. And it's also it's very Kenobi-esque at the same time, which is, I think, is part of the fun of it, is seeing Kenobi be Kenobi, but as Hardine, as this sort of, criminal element, as sort of the wretched hive of scum and villainy all personified in one person. So let's see what's next. Okay, so it's at this moment also that as Eval and Cad Bane come crashing back to the surface of Nal Hutta, that Hardine, under his name, his contact name, Ben, will reach out once again to the Jedi Temple and kind of give them an update, let them know what's going on, and to not, again, he's kind of warning them, giving them instructions, giving them warnings, like, no matter what reports you hear, don't try to make contact, don't send backup for me. I got this. Things are getting back on track. By the way, I need some more credits so we can buy a new ship, because the first one we bought with Eval's money, no good anymore. And again, I think the Jedi are a little concerned about the path that they're on, but this is the course they have chosen, so they have to let Obi-Wan play this out. Now, Mace Windu is going to make contact with Chancellor Palpatine, kind of keep him up to date and informed on everything. And this is when Palpatine does his Palpatine things. And, of course, Anakin Skywalker, unbeknownst to Mace Windu, is in the room with them overhearing everything. And I wanted to play this bit of this bit of the episode, the conversation between Palpatine and Skywalker, as Palpatine sort of stirs the pot, the boiling cauldron within Anakin Skywalker, as it were. Let's check it out.
Why are you removing the bounty on the 3 fugitives?
If they're free to move, they could lead us back to Eval's operation.
Very well. Keep me apprised. You look troubled, Anakin.
How can they expect me to just sit here and do nothing with Obi-Wan's murder on the loose?
It is possible that they do not trust you to control your feelings.
Hardine killed my master, my best friend. And now he's escaping with Cad Bane and Moralo Eval, and the Jedi Council won't do anything about it.
I have it from a reliable source that the fugitives were last headed towards Nal Hutta. You cannot deny your feelings, Anakin. They are what make you special. If you believe you can stop this plot against me, I trust you.
Thank you, Chancellor. You won't regret this.
No, I won't.
So consider the cauldron of Anakin Skywalker stirred. And now Anakin's kind of out there on his own, going sort of counter to the Jedi orders, the Jedi Order, the sort of stance that the Jedi Order has taken in regards to Hardine and Cad Bane and Moralo Eval being out there. And again, this is sort of goes back to what we talked about in our last episode, the choice to keep Anakin in the dark, the deception, as the title in the last episode implied, and the casualties that deception has, and the fallout from that deception. I mean, look at it now. Anakin being told to trust his feelings and to pursue Hardine, to avenge the death of his master and friend Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's putting all of the Jedi's plans, this whole plot of theirs, at stake because of the decision not to keep Anakin in the loop here, because they had to sell Obi-Wan's death, quote unquote. And it's just, this is a mess of the Jedi's own making, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, it does sort of come to a head by the end of the episode, but again, just another opportunity for this plan to have gone horribly wrong much, much sooner into into things. I mean, it started last week when, Anakin could have just as easily as killed Obi-Wan when he's arresting him as in the guise of Hardine. And we get to another place, a very similar place with this episode, as it plays out, as now Anakin is involved. He's going to bring Ahsoka, and we get into a bit of a cat and mouse kind of game here. They're in hot pursuit, I guess would be a good way to put it too. So let's just check back in with Eval and Cad Bane as they make their way back to the bazaar and find Hardine waiting for them at the saloon. I really like this arrival of Bane and Eval to the town, back to the square as they're coming and approaching the saloon, where Hardine, in a very Obi-Wan Kenobi-esque way, is sort of sitting there waiting for him, swirling his drink, I think in a very Kenobi-esque fashion. So I took a lot of amusement from this sequence here. Let's check this out.
Back so soon? Let me guess. You missed me. Kill me, and you won't get off Nal Hutta!
Moralo Eval is running out of time and patience. Let the man talk.
Look, I've got a ship. You've got the Hutts on your tail, so you make me a partner in everything.
Your deal is accepted.
No. First, I want to know where you got the credits to buy a ship.
You thought you left me for dead, but the Hutts owed me a favor.
So you had them shoot us down?
You would have done the same thing, Bane. The way I see it, we're even now.
Now that we're all friends, get me off this festering stinkhole.
So Hardine, Eval, and Cad Bane make their way to the new ship that Hardine has acquired through Jedi credits, just as Ahsoka and Anakin are arriving on Nal Hutta to begin their investigation in an attempt to track down Rako Hardine for the killing of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So what we get to hear in this sequence is Ahsoka and Anakin making their way to the bazaar, into the saloon, where some Gomorian guards attempt to deter them with their big giant axes and everything like that. Anakin uses his force powers. He's not in a messing around mood anymore. Anakin's had enough of Hardine. He's angry. He's trusting his feelings like the Chancellor encouraged him to do. And he rips one of the Gomorian guards' little axes out of their hand, flings it against the wall with the force to the amusement, really, of the onlookers in the saloon. And if you pay close attention as the axe is whirling towards the wall near the head of a nearby Gotal, you will see a sign of a Sebulba, and it talking about how Sebulba. And I think if you pause it just right, you can see that it's saying he's coming for like an autograph signing or something like that. So that's a little Sebulba signage in the background there of the saloon, which is pretty fun. Anakin here, not in a very Jedi-like frame of mind. He's very no-nonsense, very aggressive here as he deals with the Ithorian barkeep. Let's check this sequence out.
The fugitives are already gone.
All three of them were here?
Two came in, met the third.
When did they leave?
Nothing's free on Nal Hutta, especially information.
I don't have time for games.
You just missed them.
Keep talking.
I heard one of them say they just bought a ship.
Let's go, Snips.
If Ahsoka's concerned about Anakin's force choking the Ithorian barkeep, she does not say anything about it there. But Anakin getting very force choky in recent episodes here. So yeah, his temperament in the last handful of episodes is definitely something to keep an eye on. So we go back to Coruscant. This is an important sequence here too, because I think this is when the Jedi are beginning to figure out that maybe this plan was not as well constructed as they thought it was. Mace is attempting to get a hold of Anakin. He gets Rex instead, and it's a whole thing. I want to go ahead and play the sequence though, because I do like it quite a bit.
Captain Rex, I need to speak with General Skywalker. He's not responding to my calls.
Sir, General Skywalker is unavailable.
Where is he, Captain?
I can't say, sir.
You can't, or you won't.
Anakin is on Nal Hutta.
Nal Hutta?
Protecting me is only postponing the problem, not solving it.
With all due respect, Chancellor, the Council has a plan in place.
Yes, and so does Moralo Eval, who appears to be several steps ahead of you. For that reason, I asked Anakin to take action. He is confident he can find the fugitives and stop this plot against me. I suggest you have more faith in young Skywalker. Captain, if you must escort me home, I'm leaving now.
Yes, sir.
So that's not good. Mace, again, I think you see the expression on his face. One of the really wonderful aspects of Star Wars: The Clone Wars is with this wonderful computer CG modeling that they do. The animations are very expressive, and you can definitely see a lot of emotion on the faces of these characters, even when they're not saying anything, even when it's not a more, obviously, the big emotions like excitement and anger and those are easy to convey. But this show does a really fine job of subtle, nuanced emotion in facial expressions. Just like the odd tick here or there of like an eyelid or an eyebrow. It's the way the brows kind of furrow together, knit together. It's just a really wonderful sequence, and especially with a character like Mace Windu, who is facially expressive. I think they capture that really nicely on the show. But let's hear the last part of Mace here as he's not stoked on what's going on.
This is exactly what Obi-Wan didn't want to happen. If I warn him, it could blow his cover. Get him killed.
Kill Hardine. Skywalker might. Or die trying. He may. Warn them both. You must. Overdue, the truth is.
So there you have it. Yoda was against this from the beginning, and now his fears are coming true. And both Anakin and Obi-Wan are in peril at this point because the truth could be, Obi-Wan's hanging out with bad characters. Cad Bane could take a shot at Anakin and get lucky, just like he talked about in the previous episode about Hardine killing Obi-Wan, right? So there's a lot of things in play here, and this is all bad news. Yoda doesn't like it anymore, and he's had enough of it, and it's time for the truth to be known here. But again, the truth is not going to reach these guys anytime soon, and that is where this is where the second half of the episode really kicks off, and the chase is afoot, as they say. So Anakin, again, tracking them down, finds out that the Abith who sold the ship to Hardine only gave them enough fuel to get to his brother's fueling depot. They had a little scam going on, which I thought was pretty funny. That amused me. But this is where Anakin and Ahsoka are going to be able to track them down. They know they're going to be at this fueling depot, and they're able to get there. And we get a great chase sequence here. Anakin jumps off of his ship onto Hardine's ship. Obi-Wan's piloting, trying to not look like he's helping Anakin, but trying to make sure that Anakin doesn't get killed. So he's making some interesting maneuvers here. Eventually, all the ships are going to come out. Again, it's a great action sequence. I'm not going to recap it blow for blow here, but eventually the ships do come skidding to the surface of the moon that they're on, and then the combat goes to the ground. Ahsoka's doing her thing. Cad Bane, Cad and Hardine engage with Anakin. There's a couple times where Anakin looks like he's going to be able to kill Hardine. Lightsaber out. This is for Obi-Wan. And then Cad Bane will step in and buy them another moment of battle, of conflict, of combat, if you will. And we get a really great, what must have been, again, if you think about these characters as the characters that we want to think them of again, it's animated, I understand, but if we were to see this in real life, I guess what I'm saying is look at the broader picture here. You have a disguised Obi-Wan Kenobi who now has to sort of battle for his life. He's trying to pull his punches, but he's got Anakin on the ground and he's wailing on him. And again, Anakin, who doesn't know that Hardine is Obi-Wan Kenobi, is giving it just as good, if not more so, because he's under the illusion, he's been deceived into thinking that Hardine has killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. But with a little bit of assistance from Cad Bane, Hardine Kenobi is able to get the drop on Anakin, puts him in a sleeper hold, and whispers a sweet little nothing into his ear that is I guess it clicks with Anakin, and I think that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about earlier in the episode, and I sort of forgot. But the 2 times that we've seen Hardine communicate to the Jedi Temple, in the first in the Deception episode, and then in this one, both times, it's Hardine's voice, obviously, but the cadence of the words is very, very important. He speaks very much like Kenobi would. The way he puts his words together, the way he structures his sentences, is very Kenobi-esque. When he's Hardine amongst Bane and Eval, he talks much more like they would, like a thug, like a criminal would, not as I don't know. I don't know what word I want to use. I was thinking of like I was thinking it's like a feat or something like that. But again, he's just Kenobi. He doesn't. Kenobi talks very distinctly Kenobi, and Anakin hears a bit of that in this sequence. So his eyes go wide as that sweet nothing is whispered. Let's check it out.
Anakin, don't follow me.
So right before he passes out, there seems to be that moment of recognition, which is got to be pretty interesting for Anakin. And then in the very next beat here, as again, Bane's there, he's watching, and he sees that Anakin's down, and he's picking up a blaster, and he's going to go for it. And this is when Ahsoka's going to spring into action.
Ship is still operational. I got it working. Now let's get out of here.
You're lucky we're in a hurry, little lady. We'll have to dance another time.
Ahsoka looking fierce, protecting Anakin there on the ground.
Master, are you all right? What is it? What's wrong?
That's why I felt a connection. Obi-Wan is still alive.
I don't understand.
I don't either. But we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Believe me.
Boom. Another great episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And again, the tangled webs we weave, and first we dare to deceive. That's what happens here in this episode. Now Anakin's clued in. Obi-Wan's alive. He's not sure exactly in what way, in what manner, how it came to be. But I think he's going to figure that out. I think we figure that out in the next episode. I believe so. Yeah, it's a great episode. A lot of wonderful performances in this. The back half of the episode is very action-packed, very action-oriented. I highly recommend it. The chase sequences, the ship combat stuff, with Ahsoka having the ship over Hardine's ship, Anakin on the hull, engaged in combat against Cad Bane, then to the surface. I mean, all of it's exceptional stuff. It's really, really well done. A lot of back and forth there. Every time it looks like Anakin's about to get the upper hand on Hardine, Cad Bane steps in, and then vice versa. It goes a lot of back and forth there. Ahsoka's doing her thing, being awesome. And I love the way she leaps in at the last minute to save Anakin, to sort of be his protector while he's in this prone unconscious state. It's just wonderful. It's so really, really great. And it just a fierce image of her as she stands over Anakin. It's wonderful. So good. So protective. Love it, love it, love it. 8.5, again, slam dunker of an episode. And I think, if memory serves, we got a really good one coming up here, a real gem. It was sort of get to spend more time with Eval and sort of see his sadistic side a little bit more in this next episode. So that's something to look forward to there. I'm loving this arc. I'm hoping you all are really enjoying going back to it, and if you're not watching the shows when we do the episodes, at least listening to me talk about them is kind of stirring those memories for you, bringing it all back. And these 4 are just, again, it's just a banger of a season, and these 4 kick is just as hard as the big 3-parter we just had before this, and the 3-parter before that. Season 4 is just fire. It's so great. It's so good. And I'm glad you all are here with me to hang out and reminisce as we go back through these. as I watched them again for the first time in 10-ish years. And I'm really, really excited that we're all doing this together. It's a real blast. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's close the show out. Another reminder to please follow us on social media. Make sure your friends are following us too. I'd really appreciate it. We are at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, sharing, and following. No. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and sharing this show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. If you want to support the show another way, if you have the time and the inclination, 5-star reviews. So helpful. We truly appreciate everyone who takes the time to do that. I'll be going back on there pretty soon to check and see if there's been any new ones added recently. I haven't done that in a few weeks. And if you read a really nice one, maybe I'll read it on the podcast. So think about that. That could be fun. And again, those reviews, they really do help small independent shows like us stand out, not get lost in the shuffle of what is the corporate world of podcasting that's sort of taken over. And with the algorithm on their side, they have inundated your podcast feed with corporate malarkey, with a lot of shows that have commercials. Like, you want to listen to a commercial. We're here to talk about Star Wars, not sell, I don't know, what's a podcast commercial right now selling stuff for? Easy chairs? I don't know. Something, I can't remember. I listen to far too many podcasts that have ads. What can I say? Though I guess, hey, people want to make money. I'm not ashamed to say that if you want to buy an ad on this podcast, I'll sell it to you. Actually, I probably won't. I like not doing commercials. It's way more fun. We can just talk about Star Wars. I can say whatever I want. I don't be beholden to any corporate sponsorship. No way. Independent podcast for life. Unless you offer me a lot of money that I just can't say no to. Anyways, different topic. If you want to support the show with your dollars, you can do that as well. You can head on over to patreon.com/Mandovision. You can become an official Mandovision maniac. You will get to hang out. You'll get access to bonus content. And you'll get to hang out with super cool people like the Aspen Hill Chody, the Batman of Babeho, Jeff Nail. Jeff is the co-host on The Ring in the Air, a great music podcast that I recommend, so check them out. Thanks to Evil Circle, the evilest of all circles, the Squid Master General Brian Broussard, the New Jersey Devil Mark Wegemer, our very own Joker and Harley Quinn Brian and Krista of Pariah Brewing Company here in San Diego and Baltimore, Maryland, the Beer Hop Brigadier General, Jesus Beer Hops, the silent assassin, he who shall not be named, and Syndicate Ram, the co-host of Come On, It's Still Good, a great movie podcast that I recommend very, very highly. So thank you to everyone, as always, for downloading, streaming, supporting the show. As you do, I say it all the time, and I truly, truly mean it. It means the world to me that you do that. I am so very, very appreciative that we are all here and loving the Star Wars together. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan, and I'm so glad to do this with all of you. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. And maybe one day we will meet IRL. Who knows? Not at Celebration. Not going to that this year. That's a story for another time. We will talk about that probably in the week leading up to Celebration in Anaheim. Just a hop, skip, and a jump for me, but not getting to go. Any hoot. We'll be back extremely soon with another thrilling installment of Star Wars The Clone Wars Rewatch Day. And in the meantime, take care of each other. Be awesome to each other. Just be a rad person and be helpful and kind and supportive whenever you see someone down who needs it. Reach out to people you haven't talked to in a little while who might be down and need to know that other people are out there. And again, just take care of each other. We're Star Wars fans through thick and thin, and we're all in this together, and we should be taking care of each other too. All right? So be excellent to each other, as Bill and Ted say. And remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.